What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the DM Gamer Morning Show, the Saturday college football edition. And oh boy, y'all, we called this. I'm gonna just start the show off. Y'all already know what I'm finna say. We started this show off talking about this last week. No, it wasn't last week. It was earlier this week in the morning show. What did I tell y'all? What did I say? I tried to tell y'all it was going to be upset weekend. And while we're waiting for y'all to join in, I'm going to pull up the video from it and try to find it where I said what I said when I said it. So be mindful of that, y'all. I'm just saying. I told y'all it was gonna be upset weekend. I told y'all that. I told y'all that earlier this week. Okay, so I'm just finna put the audio on while people are joining in, just so y'all know we called it first. Okay.
And you know what would be bad for Troy is if they lost to Southern Alabama.
Oh, pause right there. Hold on. Back it up.
It looked promising going forward in the future. So kudos there. More in the NFL, in a sense, the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator, he stepped down, he resigned, he was going to get fired anyway, more than likely. After video surfaced of him using illegal substance, we'll just leave it at that.
Y'all hear it.
I don't know. You have people who are upset that this woman, this exotic dancer, leaked this, and I don't understand that because nobody made the guy do this. However, one people have to understand this. How many coaches you think are using illegal substances? Yeah, people bust the players and stuff like that all the time, but do you really think it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is going on? It's like, really, it's 2017. These types of things are going on. Anytime millions of dollars are involved, somebody's using some kind of substances somewhere. Be it players using, growth hormones and things of that nature, or stressed out coaches using illegal drugs. It goes on. It happens. Only thing is, some people get caught, some people don't. That's just how it goes. So to me, I'm not making much light of this situation. I mean, he got caught. Hey, I think his situation is worse dealing with his family than dealing with the NFL. After all, he was there with the Dolphins. He's been in coaching since 1992. He's been coaching for a very long time, but he's only been with the Dolphins a short while. But he person doesn't mean you're going to stay out of trouble. Doesn't mean that things can't against USC. Troy 4-1 on the season, playing against South Alabama. Another example to show people that just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to be an outstanding person. Doesn't mean you're going to stay out of trouble. Doesn't mean that things can't happen to you. Money doesn't protect you from everything. In some instances, money actually opens the door to other things. But I digress.
Okay, so y'all, what you're listening to is some early audio from earlier in the week on the 10th, y'all. This was the DM Gaming Morning Show on the 10th of October when we told you it was going to be upset weekend, okay? We called it. And now I'm finna get into the first upset, which they didn't talk about, was Southern Alabama beating Troy, who knocked off USC. Southern Alabama won that game, y'all, 19-8. But you heard it on the DM Gaming Morning Show first. And here it goes.
Let's get to some college football, y'all. Because college football is approaching.
Y'all listening?
NFL is in the books.
Listen.
We're looking forward. Tomorrow you have a game between Troy, who's coming off of the huge upset.
Okay, so this was Tuesday, because I said tomorrow. The game was on Wednesday, but I digress. Let's continue.
That they pulled against USC. Troy 4-1 on the the season, playing against South Alabama, who's 1-4. And you know what would be bad for Troy is if they lost to Southern Alabama.
And that's what happened.
But you know what? We've seen things like that happen in college football. But that's a Wednesday night game at 8 o'clock p.m. Thursday night, you have Texas State 1-5 facing off.
All right, so pause in there. South Alabama did beat Troy. South Alabama did knock off Troy 19-8. All right. And while y'all get into, please feel free, if y'all listening to this on your phones or on the internet, please join into the chat. This is an interactive gaming, it's an interactive live show. So please feel free to join in on the chat, y'all. But I'm going to continue and let it play so that y'all know y'all heard it first on the DM Gaming Morning Show. This was from the 10th, the show that we did on Tuesday. Let's continue.
It's Louisiana. They're 2-3. The Raging Cajuns.
What's up, Lucky?
University of Louisiana Lafayette. And then Friday, not Saturday, but Friday, you have two big-time games, y'all. We have two big-time games going on Friday. Number 2, Clemson undefeated, facing off against a 3-3 Syracuse team. Clemson coming off of a very tight win. But they did get the W, still remain undefeated. I really don't like that Clemson is number 2. First of all, they're defending national championships, for Christ's sake. And they've played and beaten more ranked teams than Alabama has. Come on, make them number 1. But I digress. That game is at 7 o'clock p.m. Friday, October 13th. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you would want to play a football game on October 31st. I mean, on October 13th. I'm sorry. Y'all, the reason I say October 31st is because when I was in high school, one of my coaches, Michael Hill, he never liked playing football games on October. On October 31st. He said he's never won a football game on October 31st. And sure enough.
If you're just joining us, y'all, please, like I said, join the live chat. It is an interactive show. Lucky, what's going on? NFL 2K, hashtag bring back NFL 2K, bring back NCAA 2K as well. But what I'm playing is some audio from the DM Gaming Morning Show on Tuesday. On Tuesday, y'all, we called it Upset Weekend. And if you're just joining us, you just finished hearing me talk about the Troy and Southern Alabama game, where I said, wouldn't it be something if Southern Al knocked off Troy? And they did. And I'm telling you, it's Friday 13th, and that just didn't sit right with me, y'all. But let's continue on, okay?
We didn't win on October 31st. But I digress. Friday, October 13th, the scariest night of the year. And it's in October of all. But Friday the 13th already has so much stereotypical stipulations to it. Not to mention that it's in the month of October. And 13 backwards is 31. Halloween. I don't know, y'all just throw it out there. Could it be the night that Clemson gets upset by Syracuse?
Oh, y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. Friday the 13th. And if you don't believe me, go to the videos in our channel and look for the DM Gaming Morning Show. It has the date 10/10/2017, and the sound, it starts at about, I say 6 minutes and 30 seconds is when I start talking about the Clemson stuff. But I digress. Let's continue on because it gets better. It gets better.
Or could Washington State be upset by California? Both teams are undefeated. Clemson and Washington.
You heard the Washington State thing as well, y'all. And guess what happened yesterday? So if you don't know, Syracuse upset Clemson 27-24, and Washington State was upset by Cal 37-3. You heard it first on the DM Gaming Morning Show, y'all. I said that back on Tuesday. Even said it about Southern Al beating Troy. Right now, y'all, we 3-0. And then because of that, what's going on, Jay? Because of that, y'all, I put everybody on upset alert. Upset alert Saturday. Upset weekend. Let's continue.
State are both 6-0. They're both in the top 10, and Syracuse and Cal are both 3-3. I'm just saying, that's a lot of threes in there. There's a lot of multiples of threes. 6-0, 3-3. October 13th, 2017. It's going down. Clemson's game is at 7 o'clock. Washington State plays Cal at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, of course. And then Saturday, Arkansas 2-3 facing off against Alabama 6-0, number 1 in the land. Can Arkansas pull the upset? It's going to be an interesting game. That's not going to be a game that you just chalk it up to Alabama. Because in the SEC, especially, any given Saturday, the true definition, that game is at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. 7:30 p.m. Missouri 1-4 faces off against number 4 ranked Georgia Bulldogs at 6-0. Followed by another 10:45 p.m. game, number 5 Washington 6-0 facing off against a 2-3 Arizona State team. I'm gonna tell y'all something about this weekend in college football. I think that this weekend in college football will define the end result of the NCAA football season. This week, mark my words. This week, starting tomorrow with Troy, because if Troy can beat Southern Al, and some of these teams who I'm going to mention are
Lucky, Alabama. Okay, just to get some comments going. Jay says Alabama is not losing to Arkansas. Jay, I don't know. They shouldn't, but I don't know. And then Lucky says, would I like to play college football live if they had a game? I would definitely do that. I would love to do that. But let's continue, y'all, because I'm getting to some good stuff in the DM Gaming Morning Show. This is some audio clips this is the audio from it from Tuesday the 10th. So let's continue.
Upset alert fall. We can see Troy busted to the top 25 easily. Except for Thursday night game. Texas State and Louisiana Lafayette, that's just a game for a game. We're really paying attention to Friday with Clemson and Syracuse. Washington, I'm putting Washington State on upset alert against Cal. I think Clemson handles Syracuse pretty heavily. Clemson, I don't see Syracuse being a challenge there. But Alabama and Arkansas.
See, now y'all did hear me say it. I'm putting Washington State on upset alert. And when I first mentioned the Syracuse and Clemson game, I said, wouldn't it be something if Syracuse upsets Clemson? Now, then you just heard me say that I think that Clemson handles Syracuse. But yesterday, there was a poll out on Twitter asking who are we picking to win. IMV actually were the ones who posted it. And I've taken a picture of that. If you follow me on Twitter, if you follow us on Twitter, at DM Gaming 5, you will go and see that I shared that photo because it has a check mark beside who you voted for. It doesn't show a check mark by who wins or anything like that. The polls don't work that way. Whatever you picked, it's going to have a check mark with a circle beside it. And if you see that, you will see me sharing that from my page, verifying that I picked Syracuse to beat Clemson. And it happened, y'all. Syracuse upset Clemson. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think the only reason Syracuse led the game for the most part, but Clemson's starting quarterback went down in the first half. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Their backup, I don't think their backup is hot topic. Reason why I don't believe that is because their quarterback actually hurt his ankle in last week's game, but they're still playing him, even though he's not 100%. And that says a lot about the people that are playing behind him, especially even against Syracuse. Now, I know Syracuse isn't a pushover team, but it is a conference game. You have to be mindful of that. Syracuse. Oh no, Syracuse is are they still in the ACC? They're not in the ACC, are they? Let me check. I don't think Syracuse is in the ACC. They used to be in the Big East, which is now the what do they call it? The American Conference. Nope. Actually, yes, Syracuse has moved over to the ACC. So yeah, that was a conference game. That's a conference game. Now, had Clemson's quarterback stayed healthy, I think if Clemson's starting quarterback had not been out for that game, I think Clemson probably would have won that one. But guess what? That didn't happen. And when a man goes down, hey, whoever's behind him, you got to step it up. You got to step up and you got to play. Clemson's defense, I don't know what happened to them yesterday, y'all. I don't know what happened. And I'm not saying that I picked Clemson to win. Syracuse to win. Because I'm going to tell y'all, I didn't even watch the game. I didn't get to see the game. I did not get to see that game. I'm going to watch it today. I know he went down because, I did watch some highlights from it earlier this morning. I knew the final score. Heard it on the radio this morning. It was like, wow. We called it on the DM Gaming Morning Show. We called it on the DM Gaming Morning Show. So Clemson goes down. Down goes Clemson. And like I said, I think that if their starting quarterback was still healthy, that he would not have that Clemson would not have lost that game. But they did. And then Washington State just got handled by Cal. It was wow. That game wasn't even close. 37-3. But like I said, y'all, we called it here first on the DM Gaming Morning Show. So much so, Chris even tagged me. This is how I found out about the Clemson game, too. Another way. Chris, big shout out to Chris. He tagged me, or rather added me, on Twitter yesterday saying, and I think I would like to say he even shared the tweet. He retweeted the DM Gaming Morning Show from Tuesday saying we called it first, and he donned the hashtag upset weekend. So Chris even remembers us talking about that show. Chris remembers that day, that Tuesday, this past Tuesday, when we talked about all of these things. Chris remembers those things, and Chris, he beat it to the punch, because I'm going to be honest, I wasn't watching the Clemson and Syracuse game, because I like to watch my games when I have time. I like to sit down. There's some channels that I'm subscribed to on YouTube that actually post the games. Some of them, if I can catch them, I'll watch them. Others, I'll say I'll catch that game later. I was in the middle of playing Shadow of War, so, it was serious. And then I get the message from Chris telling me, hashtag upset weekend. And we called it. We literally called that one. So I think that was pretty cool. But let me back up. So for those of y'all just joining, y'all can hear it again. Okay.
And then Friday, not Saturday, but Friday, you have
let me back up some more.
We have money doesn't mean you're going to be an outstanding person. Doesn't mean you're going to stay out of trouble. Doesn't mean that things can't happen to you. But NFL is in the books. We're looking forward.
All right.
Tomorrow you have a game between Troy, who's coming off of the huge upset that they pulled against USC. Troy 4-1 on the season, playing against South Alabama, who's 1-4. And you know what would be bad for Troy is if they lost to Southern Alabama. But you know what? We've seen things like that happen in college football. But that's a Wednesday.
See, so that was the game I was talking about on Wednesday night, y'all, against Troy and Southern Alabama, which Southern Alabama did beat Troy. Southern Alabama beat Troy 19-8. So let's continue on. I'm just playing this for those of y'all who just happen to be joining us and wondering what's going on in the DM Gaming community. We're 3-0 right now as far as predictions go for this college football weekend. It's been upsets ever since Wednesday, but let's continue on, okay?
Night game at 8 o'clock p.m. Thursday night, you have Texas State 1-5 facing off against Louisiana. They're 2-3. The Raging Cajuns. University of Louisiana Lafayette.
Which Louisiana Lafayette actually won that game 24-7. All right, continue on.
And then Friday, not Saturday, but Friday, you have two big-time games, y'all. We have two big-time games going on Friday. Number 2, Clemson undefeated, facing off against a 3-3 Syracuse team. Clemson coming off of a very tight win. But they did get the W, still remain undefeated.
Here comes the good stuff.
I like that Clemson is number 2. First of all, they're defending national championships, for Christ's sake. And they've played and beaten more ranked teams than Alabama has. Come on, man.
If you're just joining us, y'all, welcome to the DM Gaming Morning Show. Right now, I'm playing some audio from the live stream from the DM Gaming Morning Show that we did on Tuesday, verifying that we've predicted this weekend. You've already, if you just joined us, you probably just missed me talking about Alabama, South Alabama, and Troy. South Alabama beating Troy. And now I'm going to talk about Clemson and Syracuse, as well as Washington State and Cal. So let's continue.
Make them number 1. But I digress. That game is at 7 o'clock p.m. Friday, October 13th. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you would want to play a football game on October 31st. I mean, on October 13th. I'm sorry. Yo, the reason I say October 31st is because when I was in high school, one of my coaches, Michael Hill, he never liked playing football games on October. I mean, on October 31st. He said he's never won a football game on October 31st. And sure enough, we didn't win on October 31st. But I digress. Friday, October 13th, the scariest night of the year, and it's in October.
Lawrence Day, what's going on? If you just joining in, man, I'm just playing some audio from the DM Gaming Morning Show from Tuesday, verifying that we predicted what's going on right now this weekend in college football. So let's continue because I'm finna get into the Clemson game and the Washington State game. Let's continue.
Oh, but Friday the 13th already has so much stereotypical stipulations to it. Not to mention that it's in the month of October. And 13 backwards is 31. Halloween. I don't know, y'all just throw it out there. Could it be the night that Clemson gets upset by Syracuse?
And it was. And then later on in the audio, you will hear me say that I think that Clemson will handle Syracuse. And at that point in time, I really did, y'all, but it just sat on my conscience, because I did say, hey, would it be something? And it was. But also, IMV Gaming did a poll yesterday before the game of who do we think would win between Syracuse and Clemson. And I've taken a picture of that and posted it to the channel because it has a check mark beside Syracuse. That's signifying that DM Gaming did indeed vote that Syracuse would beat Clemson. There were over 500 votes. Only 30, I believe it was about 37% of those people voted for Syracuse. It's going good, Kerry. But let's continue on. Let's finish this up and we'll get into talking about this weekend.
Or could Washington State be upset by California?
Or could Washington State be upset by Cal? And guess what? Washington State was indeed upset by Cal. Both of those teams lost. Let's continue.
Both teams are undefeated. Clemson and Washington State are both 6-0. They're both in the top 10. And Syracuse and Cal are both 3-3. I'm just saying, there's a lot of threes in there. There's a lot of multiples of threes. 6-0, 3-3. October 13th, 2017, it's going down. Clemson's game is at 7 o'clock. Washington State plays Cal at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, of course. And then Saturday, Arkansas 2-3 facing off against Alabama 6-0, number 1 in the land. Can Arkansas pull the upset? It's going to be an interesting game. That's not going to be a game that you just chalk it up to Alabama. Because in the SEC, especially, any given Saturday, the true definition, that game is at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. 7:30 p.m. Missouri 1-4 faces off against number 4 ranked Georgia Bulldogs at 6-0. Followed by another 10:45 p.m. game, number 5 Washington 6-0 facing off against a 2-3 Arizona State team. I'm gonna tell y'all something about this weekend.
Here's where we done it.
I think that this weekend in college football will define the end result of the NCAA football season. This week, mark my words. This week, starting tomorrow with Troy, because if Troy can beat Southern Al, and some of these teams who I'm going to mention are on upset alert fall, we can see Troy busted to the top 25 easily.
See, but we know that Troy didn't do it, so they missed out on the big opportunity to move up in the polls.
Except for Thursday night game. Texas State and Louisiana Lafayette. To me, is probably the only team. I'm not going to put South Florida on upset alert, but you know what? Everybody else is, so South Florida, upset alert.
And so if you listen to the show, you can go back and listen to it. Our show from the 10th, I donned the phrase upset alert so many times. I said that I just ended up making the entire weekend upset alert weekend. Now, one thing that you have to understand about upset alert, it doesn't mean that the team is going to lose. What upset alert means is that, hey, the better team, like last night was with Clemson and with Clemson and Syracuse, Clemson should have won. Clemson was the better team on paper. However, they're on upset alert, meaning I can see the potential of them losing. And that's exactly what happened. Now, like I said, you'll hear me later on in that audio saying that, I would think that Clemson would have won the game. But in the poll that I did on Twitter, I did pick Syracuse. And there is proof of that on Twitter. If you follow us on Twitter, if you don't, you need to be at DM Gaming 5. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on the app, join into the chat. It's an interactive show. It's not going to be on long today because I've already covered the games for this weekend and have done the term hashtag upset weekend. It's going down. And y'all, I'm excited. You know, because Jay's saying he don't think Alabama will lose to Arkansas. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. This, like I said, though, this weekend in college football, like Alabama shouldn't lose. But you don't know. And that is the beautiful thing. That's what I love about college football. That's what I love about college football is the fact that any given Saturday, you know, in the NFL, anybody can lose in the NFL. Anybody can go down in the NFL. You know, you can lose 4 games, 5 games maybe, and still make the playoffs. In college, not so fast, my friend. And if you follow us on Twitter, I retweeted it. Chris tagged me about 10 hours ago. ESPN.com, he sent the article at DM Gaming 5, hashtag upset weekend, as called on DM Gaming Morning Show. So even Chris remembers us talking about it. Big shout out to Chris. And then I retweeted a picture of my tweet. I mean, a picture of the poll that was set out by IMV Gaming. Hashtag Gridiron Champions. Number 2, Clemson, Syracuse. And it has a circle beside it because that's who I picked. That's who I voted for. And guess what it says? Syracuse, 35%. There was 594 votes. 594 votes. And this was, you know, this poll ended before the game ever started. But Syracuse only had 35% of those votes. Clemson had 65. I'm telling y'all, man. And looking at the game, like I said, I hadn't been able to watch the full game yet. Did see highlights, did read about some of the stuff that went on. And one of the biggest things that went on was Clemson's quarterback going down. Now, when you say that a team is on upset alert, that means anything can happen that causes the other team to win. Clemson's starting quarterback went down. And I truly believe, y'all, we talk about this all the time. We've talked about it all week anyway, that strategy and game preparation means a lot. Now, especially in college, when you have a good player, now you see how big one player can be for a program. Now, don't get me wrong, because Syracuse led the game, the entire game. I don't think they ever trailed it in this game. But still, if Clemson has their starting quarterback, do they still lose this game? I don't think so. I don't think so. But it happened. So we have to face with the facts with what we have, that Clemson did go down. Now, how does this affect Clemson going forward? Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. They can still potentially make the playoffs. They can still make the NCAA playoffs. Because you do have to remember that that Clemson did beat 3 ranked teams last month. 3 very good ranked teams at that. And just because, you know, the committee does take those things into consideration. You know, they don't just write those things off. You know, they beat Kent State to start the year. They beat Auburn, who's still ranked. They beat Louisville, who is still ranked. They beat Virginia Tech, who is still ranked. You know, so they did beat some very good teams. If Clemson runs the table and goes to the ACC championship game and wins the ACC championship game, Clemson is going to be in the playoffs. I don't think that this is just a speed bump, because going forward, they still have Georgia Tech. They have North Carolina State, who's ranked, who upset Louisville, and we call that as well. They have Florida State, and then they have South Carolina. And so, you know, if they finish the season undefeated, I mean, we are going to see them in the ACC championship game, in which if they get a W there, then there's no reason in the world why they shouldn't still be in the playoffs. So, I don't think you can look at this game and they lose and they win the year out and say, well, does Clemson still deserve to be in the playoffs? Because clearly, if they win all of their games with this quarterback and then they lose the game without this quarterback, only playing one half, then you can't help but say maybe they lost because they didn't have their starting quarterback. Because I don't know, y'all. I'm just saying that's that one uncontrolled variable that if he's still in the game, do they still lose that football game? I don't think so. But yet and still it happened. So big, huge, amazing underdog shout out to Syracuse. I do know that their head coach, Clemson's head coach, actually after the game went into the locker room to congratulate that team. And Syracuse, the Clemson coach, he said it's not about Clemson. It's about Syracuse today. Giving big respect to them. He said, no, don't talk about Clemson getting upset. Talk about Syracuse winning the game. And I know, y'all, that may sound like the same thing, but that's actually two completely different things. And then Syracuse's head coach, while being thankful for the win, while being excited for the win, didn't take it as a time to put down his opponents, but rather praise them, saying that they are a very good ball club, that they are coached very well. He told his guys, hey, y'all didn't just beat anybody. This, y'all beat, he's basically telling his guys, let this sink in, guys. You just beat a extremely good program who just won a national championship. I think this coach knows it. He knows what Syracuse just did. And I don't think it's sat in yet for the players. He was telling them that this is a very well coached team. This is a very disciplined program. They are a very good program. And I think Syracuse coach knows that Clemson is going to go on to be in the NCAA playoffs and potentially win it all again. Now, I know some people may be upset. Well, this loss comes late in the season. How does this affect Clemson going forward? I say, I don't really care what Clemson is ranked. If Clemson goes undefeated for the rest of the year, beating Georgia Tech, the only ranked team they have is South Carolina, who's still ranked at this point in time, but they're 2 weeks out from playing that team. And then Florida State, then they have a game against the Citadel before they finish with South Carolina. Now, if Clemson loses to North Carolina State, because I'm going to tell you something, North Carolina State is an underrated team. If Clemson loses to North Carolina State, then I'll say, okay, they don't need to be in the playoffs. But if Clemson wins out and wins the ACC championship game, you have to put them in the playoffs. You have to put them in the playoffs, especially if their quarterback is back, simply because, and he was out of the game, y'all, due to a concussion, by the way. He had a concussion. And he was playing on a bad ankle that he hurt in the Wake Forest game. But that they barely won that game. That was a close game. 28-14 in that one, And you could chalk that up to him being hurt. I don't know. But I digress. The question now is, if Clemson runs the table and wins the ACC championship game, do you put Clemson in the playoffs? Because 4 teams are making it to the playoffs. Do you put them in there? I would have to say yes. Alabama, if they run the table, they're a definite shoe-in. But you do have some teams that are still undefeated. One being a TCU, Horned Frog team, that, if they run the table, do they get in? I would have to say yes if they win the Big 12. Now, I know that you got to look at strength of schedule, and when you look at strength of schedule, you cannot deny that the Clemson Tigers are that Clemson has one of the strongest strength of schedules. They've played 3 ranked teams, beat 3 ranked teams last month alone in 1 month. The ACC is looking like the new SEC. But like I said, you have TCU, who's undefeated, y'all, playing Kansas State, and Kansas State coming off of a tough loss against Texas. They're playing in Bill Snyder Stadium, y'all. And like I told y'all, it's upset weekend. Kansas State is very capable. They are a very capable team. They're a very capable team. Michigan against Indiana. TCU's ranked number 6. So, if they run the table, they'll be higher in the polls next week. Looking at some more notably ranked games. Auburn, number 10, facing off against LSU. If Auburn runs the table, wins the SEC championship, because they will have to face off against Alabama, I don't know. I think they're a definite shoe-in. Or are they? Because the SEC is not just a super strong conference this year. And Auburn did lose to Clemson as well. Miami in the ACC, undefeated still. They're playing Georgia Tech this weekend. I mean, you see what I'm saying? When you start to look at the schedule, that's why I told y'all this week will define the college football season going forward. I think this week we will find out who's pretty much going to be in the playoffs and who's not. And then the big game, Oklahoma against Texas. Oklahoma coming off against that loss to Iowa State, playing off against a Texas team who's won against Kansas State, but also beat Iowa State. So it's going to be interesting there. And we know that those two teams bring their best games to the table in that game. Oklahoma looking to bounce back, especially after Clemson's loss. They're licking their chops. But Oklahoma doesn't have the biggest strength of schedule in the Big 12 because a lot of those teams, you know, you have Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and TCU, who's essentially running that conference. And TCU has knocked off Oklahoma State, but they don't get a chance to play. Wait, yeah, they do. I take that back. They get to play TCU. They do play TCU going forward. So they have Texas this week. Next week, they have Kansas State. Then they have Oklahoma State. See, they have Oklahoma State and TCU back-to-back. So, I mean, I don't know. If Oklahoma runs the table, which, I mean, like I said, they've already lost one Big 12 game to Iowa State. If they lose to Texas, count them out, in my opinion. But they still have to face TCU. That's why I said if TCU can run the table, I would like to see TCU in the playoffs. You know, and you still have Wisconsin in the Big 10, number 7 in the land. Alabama, of course, we can't ever forget them, the Crimson Tide. You've got UCF in there. You got South Florida, which those teams, they're going to be tough to make it in simply because of who they play. Same thing with San Diego State. San Diego State's undefeated right now. But because of who they play, it's going to be tough to find them making a run in the playoffs. So, and that's why I even give an even stronger argument that if Clemson finishes the season undefeated, wins the ACC championship game, you have to put them in the playoffs. Especially if they do it with their quarterback back, because then you can literally look and say, okay, maybe they did lose that game against Syracuse because their quarterback went out. But like I said, also you do have to know Clemson's defense, man. That's why it's tough to say that they potentially lost that game because of their quarterback. I mean, let's be real. Offense puts points on the board, but defense can too. But Clemson's defense is so good, y'all. It is just extremely partially, y'all. I mean, I just have to say you chalk that up to Clemson playing bad and Syracuse playing better. That's how teams win. But it's also one of those things where you just have to look and say, if that quarterback is still in the game, do they win? So, very good college weekend. It's already exciting. A lot of stuff going on in football. Ezekiel Elliott's attorneys and stuff are looking to fight back against the NFL for the suspension. Good games coming up this weekend in the NFL as well. We'll have the NFL wrap-up show tomorrow, wrapping up all things NFL. And y'all, judging by this weekend, I'm probably going to have a college football wrap-up show as well on DM Gaming. So tune in for that. I'll let y'all know on Twitter. And then, like I said, if you're subscribed to the channel, hit that bell icon, turn on notifications so that you know when we go live and you can join in. Also, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, I'm going to be doing a pre-show for the show tonight, for the episode tonight, episode 111, Hit versus Jiren. So tune in for that as well. The DM Gaming Morning Show, y'all. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for notifications. Follow us on Twitter at DMGaming5. We're also on Instagram. Just started doing Reddit. Got to start posting stuff in Reddit. Trying to get some exposure for us. I got an email today about a potential business opportunity with a network. It's a YouTube verified network, but they emailed me. They reached out to me. So looking into that. Be interesting to see what they got to say. Hopefully we can get something to get us out there, y'all, because we're great. We're a great community. We put out great content. It's about getting seen, you know. It's about visibility. And I think if the right people can see us, the right opportunities would open up and present themselves and put DM Gaming on the map. I love the community. Love you guys. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Till next time, y'all, and God bless.